When you hear Shibuya Scramble, you probably think of this place. But for figure collectors, they might think of these. These are by Shibuya Scramble Figures, a brand created by Eastream in 2019. I'll say it up front, this is my favorite brand for 1 to 7 scales. I think these are some of the most beautiful anime figures in the market. But there's two things going against this brand. One, they do come at a price, and two, some veteran collectors hate what they're doing to the industry. So how is Shibuya Scramble tackling criticisms by collectors? And can they really become the first major luxury brand for anime figures? Shibuya Scramble was started with the intent to give form to a character's most shining moment, or what they call a diamond moment. And they achieved this by focusing on 3 features of a figure. 1, having a sense of scale, which comes from just how large most of these designs are. Despite being 1 to 7 scale, Shibuya Scramble figures carry a sense of weight and size. This feeds into feature number 2, being dynamic. Oftentimes, the bases of these figures encircle the character to establish a dynamic scene, capturing a sense of movement many other manufacturers don't often strive for. This evokes a feeling that these figures are in the middle of a scene, with a story that precedes and follows their poses. However, this complex large-scale dynamic vibe is really only made possible by the final feature, delicacy. Though these figures might initially seem overwhelming, they're actually often minimalist and easy to navigate. Despite the bases being massive or otherworldly, the most important aspect of a figure is the character. And what Shibuya Scramble bases are so good at are the fact that they are not only beautiful, but they highlight the character's personality, color, or presence. And to make them even more appealing, these figures are usually very easy to set up. There are some exceptions, but most of the time the bases come intact and all you really need to do is plop the character onto it. However, Shibuya Scramble isn't perfect, and many collectors do have problems with them, especially with what the brand is trying to do to the industry. First off, Shibuya Scramble is aiming to become the first major luxury brand for figures, something like what LV is to bags or what Ralph Lauren is to shirts. Now, anime fans aren't always in line with being into luxury stuff that's expensive for honestly the sake of being expensive. And many have complained about Shibuya Scramble's prices, which are almost always north of 30,000 yen. While some brands have been making quality figures more accessible and affordable, Shibuya Scramble is arguably going the other way. They're making amazing figures, stuff that nobody else is doing, but that grand diamond moment they're selling comes at a high price. Another issue with Shibuya Scramble is the sheer amount of space that they take up. The economy of shelf space is crucial for many serious collectors, and to them, these figures can easily take up the space of 2 to 4 other figures. Some fans also want their figures to be primarily focused on the character, instead of a 50-50 balance of character and base. However, Shibuya Scramble has been combating this in some ways. They've been more modest with the expansive size of their recent scales. A good example of this are their new quintuplet figures. Instead of creating a giant base, the dynamic quality of these figures comes from the sisters' clothing. These figures focus almost solely on the girls, with some nice detail to the base if you pay close attention. I think quintuplets is a good example of this because most fans want to collect at least some or all of the sisters. But ultimately, depending on your shelf space or wallet, Shibuya Scramble might not be the brand for you. No brand really is for everyone. But they're bringing up the expectations on scales, at least in ambition. It's hard to say if Shibuya Scramble will become a major brand in the market, let alone a luxury brand for figures. But hey, at least we've got some really nice looking figures out of it.